Hello and welcome to another episode of Butterfly Kisses, a journey of spiritual transformation. I am your host, Amy Gray-Cunningham, and I am so glad you have joined me today. I have a very special guest, as I always do, but this one is very special. Her name is Lauren Abrams. She is the host of 52 Weeks of Hope, the podcast where leaders, healers, and change agents discuss overcoming challenges and manifesting dreams and messages of hope. And it comes from Lauren's own dark night of the soul, where she emerged knowing she must tell her story and that you are not alone. And so I can't wait for her to be able to share her story with us and tell us a little bit more about 52 Weeks of Hope and what she is doing with the world. So Lauren, welcome to Butterfly Kisses, and please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Amy. I'm so glad to be here. I am a lawyer. That's my day job, I always say. But, day, night, doesn't matter. Days all blend together right now anyway. So
Exactly.
People say, oh, do you remember 4 months ago? I'm like, 4 months ago, 8 months ago. Like, who could tell the difference? So I am a lawyer, but I did go through my dark night of the soul, so to speak. We all go through it. Nobody escapes this lifetime without it. And this particular one kind of surprised me. I'm always somebody who's very grateful. And in fact, I have been exchanging daily gratitude lists with my friends for over a decade. We email each other what we're grateful for. Some do it in the morning, some at night. And I'm always grateful. I do a lot of service work and do all these things. But anyway, so I got through this particular dark night of the soul, and I was like, what the hell was that? And when I got through it, I thought, so I just was very surprised by it. And I thought, so what are we here for? It made me really question, why are we here? We live life, we go through these things, and then we go through another one, and then we're grateful and whatever, and then what, we die? Like, what is the point? Why are we here? And I did a soul search, and I thought, I am going to go and ask a person a week, why are we here? They say nobody on their deathbed ever wished they made more money or worked harder. So I was going to go and ask an older demographic, one person a week, for me, why are we here? And I started doing it. I'm not a DIYer, and I'm very busy. I was single mom, raising 2 kids, and I thought, it's a project. I could do this project. So I did. I started going out pre-COVID and interviewing one person a week and just saying, why are we here? You're older. What have you gleaned from life? And people would divulge the most personal information to me. I'm not a shrink or anything, but they would just tell me really personal information. And it was rich and it was good. And I would go home and I would write it up to my best friend or just for me in my own verbiage, and kind of funny, not making fun of them funny, but in my language, just what they had told me. And after about 2.5 months, there started being common themes. And I was like, this is so good. I'm going to write one of those books where you open it up and you're like, that's just what I needed to hear. Or you close it and then you open it up again and you're like, no, that's what I needed to hear. And call it 52 Weeks of Hope. And then COVID hit. And I did a pivot, because that's what we do in life. We pivot. And I started podcasting. And I love podcasting. So now I could talk to anybody anywhere. I didn't have to just be in Los Angeles. So I was talking to change agents and healers, and my mind expanded and I expanded. I always try to be open-minded anyway. But instead of just religious leaders or an older demographic, I've been talking to everyone. And actually, after my 52nd episode, I asked everyone, what's your message of hope? Because I was asking people, what's the hardest challenge you've ever overcome? How'd you do it? And what's your message of hope? And I took 52 weeks messages of hope, and I compiled them into 10 overarching messages. And I call it the meaning of life. I was like, I now know the meaning of life. My soul search. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I now know it. That was that. So that's 52 Weeks of Hope. And I have such a passion for doing this. Yeah, it's just amazing. So I get to talk to all these incredible, which I'm sure you know, because I've listened to some of your episodes, and it's something I just absolutely love.
Oh my God, that's awesome. So what is the meaning of life?
Well, I came up with my 10 overarching, but it's the same as the two main messages, which is what I found after my first 2.5 months of interviewing people, is we are not meant to live in isolation. And we are meant to be in a community. And it's so funny because people who are isolating, their cure for isolation is to isolate. It's just not like, no, we are meant to be in community. And it's interesting because I've talked to different religious leaders of how they have come up with cures for during COVID and everything for how to create community. And there's always a cure for creating community, always. But in the blue zones where people live the longest, the reason they live the longest is because they have community. And by the way, it's they live the longest because there's community and they're happy. It's not like, I mean, who wants to live a long time if you're miserable and unhealthy? So besides community being one of the number one messages, it's also love and service. So that we are supposed to love each other. And at the core, that's what we all are, is pure love. And we're supposed to help each other. So those are the two overarching messages. Community, we're not meant to be in isolation. It was so funny when I was interviewing people one-on-one, the number one things that the elders were telling me is put down your phones. The younger people need to put down their phones and connect in person, like one-on-one. Just anyway, that was very funny when they were telling me that. The other thing, this one woman in her 80s was telling me, she's like, sex is great in your 80s. I was like, good to know. Thanks for sharing. I've kept that in the back of my mind. I was like, I actually learned that in sex ed as an undergrad, but thank you. It's nice to have it reinforced and told. Yeah, so there were a bunch of messages like that. She had also told me that everything gets easier in a certain respect. You're not so hard on yourself in your 80s. She was great, this one person in particular. But yeah, so love and community, love and service and community were the two main overarching messages. But some of the other messages, if you want to know, because they're really great, which I love talking about this, is, okay, so no matter what modality, and your show is perfect for me to talk to, because sometimes when I'm interviewed, I'm like, I can't really talk about this on this. It's too businessy, but I talk about it anyway because I don't care anymore, which is freeing. Okay, so no matter what modality you're called to, I don't care if it's EFT, if it's breathwork, if it's whatever you're called to, it all works. It doesn't matter what you're called to. You're called to it for a reason. Just relax and enjoy it. You don't have to do all of it. Don't go for that shiny new object. You're being called to whatever it is you're called to for a reason. Just relax into it and enjoy it. Is it yoga? Just do that. It all works. All of it.
That's interesting that, yeah. How did you come across that message? I mean,
because I have interviewed all of them. And I have to say, learning how trauma is stored in our bodies through the breathwork specialists I've interviewed, that trauma can be just breaking because the person in front of you, you had to slam on your brakes for a minute. That is a trauma that gets stored in our body. Because I think of trauma as child abuse or something. Like, I don't know. I think of just the word trauma sounds like it has to be something major. And it doesn't. It can just be breaking hard on the freeway. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't have to be something, it could just be, I'm nervous about going to court. I don't know. It doesn't have to be a big deal. And if I'm not breathing into it and I go like that, because I braked on the freeway, that now is a trauma stored somewhere in my body. It can be little, but it's still stored in my body. So now I'm so conscious of my breath because I interviewed Mary, can't think of her last name now, and she did a breathwork session live for anybody who was interested. And now it's like sitting on my Facebook group, and anybody can access that, by the way. And if you can't, just email me or join the group, my Facebook group, and you can just go do a breathwork session. She did a full-on breathwork session to release any of these traumas. Just go do it. But now I'm so conscious of my breath. I'm so conscious to make sure I'm breathing. And EFT, I have interviewed EFT specialist in Thailand and someone who's been doing it since the 80s, Mary Sice, who's very well known, SISE. She does a Tapping Tuesdays. She did a session to clear your chakras. I thought she was going to do an EFT session. This stuff is just living on my website. Anybody can go do these. They're great. These people are amazing. But so any of it works, no matter what you're doing. And these people are rich with, decades of knowledge. Are they right and somebody else wrong? No, it's all right. Everything is correct. And there's no right and wrong in this anyway, because that makes you judge and jury. And if we're judge and jury of ourselves, we lose. You can't. It's just like comparing ourselves to somebody else. I was taught we can only compare ourselves to where we used to be to where we are now. Are we better? I love this woman, her episode. I waited until the new year to release it because she's so healthy. It's like, I'm not shaming anybody during the holidays. And Lindsay Bruce, she's like, maybe she's further along in one part of a modality than me, just as an example, or than you. But we all have something to offer somebody else. Everybody has something to offer somebody else. But everybody has something to offer somebody else. And so she's new to meditation, but I've been meditating a long time. But there's other things that she's doing. She was talking about introducing people to how to eat healthy. But she's like, and this was affecting my adrenals. I didn't know what she was talking about. I go, how do you know that was affecting your adrenals? That's not something I say in my everyday conversations. Oh, yes, this is affecting my adrenals. I wouldn't know that. Mm-hmm. So, see, in that area, she was well-schooled, and she could teach me. And I've been meditating a lot longer, so I could teach her. So everyone has something.
Yeah, no, actually, it's very interesting because it's the was it the law of abundance, where, I mean, there's so much out there. People think, oh, well, I can't do that because there's not going to be enough to go around, or,
oh my gosh, there's enough for everyone.
Yes.
People that live in that scarcity mentality, no, or that I can't do this because there's already so many people doing it. No, but nobody can do it the way you are. Nobody has your voice, your handprint, your unique way to tell it, the way you can tell it, whatever form you tell it in. Is it art or writing or speech or whatever way you tell your message?
Exactly. And the way you tell it may resonate. You can say the exact same thing and it may resonate completely different with someone that has heard the same message from somebody else, but it went way over the top.
Exactly. Yes.
So it's because we all come from the same ocean, but we're all wired differently. And and which is so awesome at the same time, because
and you might not connect. I might not connect with somebody, but they connect perfectly with you, Amy. So like, who knows? I mean, we have that attraction to different people for whatever reason, and so they could hear from you better than they could ever hear it from me.
Yeah. And one of the things that I do is, before I even release a podcast or I do anything, is I set the intention that whoever is supposed to listen to this, or whoever's supposed to get something from it, that they do, that it's out there. And, which I think that's a great intention to have for anything that you do, whether it's a podcast, a book, a radio show, a television show, whatever. So yes. So thank you. What else did you learn from it? We've got community, love, service, abundance. Okay.
Don't listen to your negative self-talk. You can thank it for sharing and then give it equal positive energy. Do something to equalize it out. It doesn't matter. I interviewed some really, really successful people. Okay, so one person in particular, which I interviewed him, I haven't interviewed him for the podcast yet, but I've got a couple of those chapters that I was writing, because I was going to do the book. There's I think 4 of them are on my website. So Rudy Tomjanovich, which you probably have a female audience just like me, but he was just inducted to the NBA Hall of Fame. He did the Olympic team. I can't tell you his CV or, his resume, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, he's huge basketball. No matter what pinnacle of success he reached, his head was always like, Rudy, you're not all that. You're nothing. No matter what. Wow. I mean, it is unbelievable. So it doesn't matter. So all that negative self-talk, and anyway, it's so great because he's he's not like that anymore, and how he overcame it and all that is in the thing on the website. But all of that, the negative self-talk and all of that, if you hear yourself, give it equal weight on the other side. That's all. Say, I'm whatever you need to do is I'm beautiful. And affirmations, I mean, they go way, way back. It's not new. It's not an SNL skit. It's like just some kind of equal weight. I talk to my friends about it all the time. I go, oh, you might not know you just said this. Now say, I'm so grateful and thankful that money flows so easily to me, continuously, and always, whatever you need to say. I'm so grateful and thankful that whatever. I mean, when I put lotion on my arm, oh, I love my beautiful arm that's so fit, and or I'm so fit, I'm so healthy. I just always the positive affirmations of how great you are.
That's awesome too. That's a great tool to use, and with just being able to switch those little negative, because sometimes you don't even know that you're doing it. And sometimes we say things to ourselves that we would never say to somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. Even to our worst enemy, we probably wouldn't say.
And yeah. So, and then naysayers, anyone who's not supporting you in your dreams, like no. Now, if it's somebody that you can't cut out, it's a family member that you just can't, close your eyes and create a white light and a white bubble around you the best you're able to. And just a protective white bubble is the best. That's the best that I've been taught to do. Is one way.
To piggyback on that as well, I always put them in a white light and bubble, and shower them with love and gratitude, and then I just kind of blow them away.
Oh, I like that.
Just to get them out of my energetic field.
That's good. I like that. I always throw love at everybody when I'm having a negative thought. I send them love, send them love. One of the other messages is life is a journey to be lived, not to be watched on the sidelines. So if there's something that you've been wanting to do, jump. Take the leap, do it. Life is too short to be, oh, I wish I did this. That I definitely have learned from interviewing people. I wish I had done this, or no, you do not want, this is the time right now. Take the leap. If you're hearing me say this, there's a reason, do it. Absolutely, your time is right now. Look at Amy. She started a podcast. Look at me. And by the way, imposter syndrome, I actually wrote an article about imposter syndrome probably 2 years ago, and there's a quiz on it. But if you think you have imposter syndrome, you probably do, and you're in a very good group of people, because Michelle Obama talked about it. Maya Angelou, before she passed, she used to talk about it. Just very high, Sheryl Sandberg, Meryl Streep, everyone, very high-performing women. And if you don't know what that is, that's where you're walking around thinking, oh, my God, why did I get this job? I'm not going to be able to do this job. If you got the job, you can do it. Just show up. You got it for a reason. Or I can remember being in court thinking, oh, my God, all these people, they think I'm a lawyer. I am a lawyer. I'd been practicing for years at that point. I've got them fooled. No, I'm a lawyer. I went to good schools and stuff. It's just a ridiculous thing. Or I started a podcast. All these people are talking about me. They think, who does she think she is, starting a podcast? Nobody's talking about me. They're talking about themselves. Nobody's thinking about me that much. It's that whole thing in the head, oh, I can't do this. Yes, you can. Just do it. And feel the feelings and then walk through them. You have to feel the feelings. If you don't feel the feelings, it's going to come out someplace else. You have to feel the feelings, feel them all the way through, lean into them so you can hurry up and get through them is what I do. And
well, it's interesting because our ego wants to protect us. And that's one of the ways that our ego protects us and keeps us in the same spot from moving forward, because we don't know, we don't know what's on the other side of doing what we don't know. Our ego keeps us safe by saying, oh, who do you think you are starting a podcast? Who do you think you are, getting up there in front of all those people? And so it keeps us small, because if we went ahead and did what we want to do, or what we think we can do, or what we think we're capable of doing, then that's pretty doggone scary. And it's our ego's job to protect us. However, we don't necessarily need our ego to run our lives for us. We get to experience whatever we want to experience.
Yeah. My friend used to say, your ego's not your amigo.
I love that. That's a great saying.
Okay. So one of the other messages is, and this came through a lot, probably people know it, is we are resilient. Oh my gosh, what people have been through that I've interviewed. Amberly Lago, She was in an accident. She had a 1% chance of saving her leg. She's a motivational speaker and everything. And her episode, oh, unbelievable. And I would not let her get graphic because I am the queasiest person ever. But she came out of like a coma kind of, I don't know what it was. She was in the emergency room, and they were waiting for her to sign the paper so they could sever her leg. They said, you have a 1% chance of saving your leg. And she said, whoa, 1% chance of saving it? Save it. She wouldn't let them sever it. And after a gazillion surgeries and being in excruciating pain, she's like, okay, you can sever it now. They're like, it's too late. And she's now this speaker because she was this fitness instructor in videos, gorgeous, blonde. And she lives with this awful, awful pain. And now she had to get off painkillers and do all these other things. And she is resilient. She is the epitome. She's the icon of resilience because the kind of pain that she lives through is unbelievable. I have talked to people that have been through just unbelievable experiences, and we are resilient. We can get through anything. And I've interviewed a couple of rabbis, and one in particular, Rabbi Ken Chasen. I can never do him justice. He just speaks so beautifully about how you'll never ever fully recover from some of these tragedies, but community will carry you through. It is about community. But he says it so beautifully in the way that he does it. So,
yeah, we definitely need community. This past year with my husband passing, I could not have done it without community and friends and family. That was probably one of my darkest nights of my soul. But yeah, that was without community. I don't think I would have made it through.
Right. I mean, we all helped. My friend JJ Duncan, who's interviewed her 11-year-old when he passed. I mean, as he was sick and as he passed and going through it with his birthday when that happened, and going through Halloween this year, and then Christmas just passed. I mean, we're going. She doesn't go through it alone.
Yep.
We're all there for her, and I mean, and she's very open about her son's passing, and she's a reality show executive producer, and so people know who she is, and she's open. She writes about what she's going through, and she weaves stories. That's what she does for a living. So, and it's not a depressing episode. Mm-hmm. She talks about joy, finding joy. And she wouldn't trade those 11 years with Mason for anything. And you'd think, oh, I'm not listening to that. But it's actually an uplifting episode. And she sees Mason everywhere. I'm sure you see your husband. Like, there's always signs. I talked to somebody who's like, she tells her husband, stop it. Like, her husband passed away 2 years ago. And she's like, would you stop? Like, she feels like he's playing jokes sometimes.
Oh yeah. Chuck is always right here. I tell you, he's a jokester sometimes.
Yeah. And
hear him in my head.
Yeah. The only way through is through. Like that was in my episode when I talk about the meaning of life, and I don't mean that from a place of hubris when I called it that. I don't think it comes across that way. It's actually a really short episode. It's like 20 minutes where I just laid out all 10. But the very first message is the only way through is through. There's no way around. Like, because if there was, I think we'd all like find the shortcut or around to not have to go through. Can I just jump over or go under or around or anything? But no, the only way through is through, which most people know that.
Yes.
And feelings actually peak for 5 minutes. If you think of your worst time on the floor and your worst pain, the actual pain did not go more than 5 minutes. You may have been distraught for more, but you're not in that pain for the entire day. Parts of the day, yeah. But pain actually peaks for 5 minutes. So if you sit there and go into the pain instead of trying to back away from it, and I don't want to feel this, I'm going to eat instead, or I'm going to shop instead, or I'm going to do this instead, and instead feel the pain to get through it, it actually won't prolong the process as bad as you think.
Did not know that. That's very interesting.
Isn't it? I think it made it much easier for me to go through hard times once I knew that. Like, oh, I'm just going to feel this. To know
Yeah.
that, like, really, I mean, anyway. So, yeah, the only way through is through, was the first thing I talked about.
You have the gratitude lists that you do.
I do.
We we need community. We have love and service. We're resilient. The only way is through. What other things have you learned from your 52 weeks?
We become less hard on ourselves and others over time. We do become more forgiving as we get older.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's nice to know. That's definitely nice to know. The other thing is and I'm not sure if this is actually, I mean, I listed as one of the top, as one of the 10. I found it so interesting, probably because it was like an episode I did right before this. Okay, so that perfectionism and procrastination are the one, like the flip side of each other. That a lot of people don't start something because they want to do it perfect. So they'll procrastinate because they want to do it perfectly. So perfectionism and procrastination are one and the same in a way. And I had a guest talking about this, and I just found it so fascinating because I'm not a perfectionist. I think it's because I have so much going on. I just want to get it done. I don't expect perfection from me. I just know better. I'm always so amazed that I do anything. I was such a slug before I was ever a lawyer. I'm like, oh my God, check me out. People that knew me growing up, they're like, when social media came out and everything, they're like, you're a lawyer? You? Wait, first they were like, you're alive?
My friends too from high school, they're like, you're still alive? Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah. And you're a lawyer. Anyway.
Wow, that's hilarious.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm always like, and people think I'm some overachiever, this and that. I'm like, no, I'm just so amazed. I'm so amazed at myself. So
what do you think contributes to how you've gotten to where you're at now?
Gratitude. I'll give it all to gratitude. I'm just so, and you know, I believe in a higher power and the power of the universe and love and service. I help others all the time. I'm very much of service. Very much.
So you write gratitude lists every day. Can you tell the listeners, you know, what do you write, like 10 things a day that you're grateful for, or what kind of list do you write? What can they do?
So, and I love when people say, but I don't feel grateful. Well, that's the point. Like by the time you get to the end of the list, you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much to be grateful for. It raises your vibrational level so much. Write down things. I'm so grateful I'm healthy. You don't have to be perfectly healthy. Like, but believe me, if you're listening to this, I interviewed somebody who's blind a couple of days ago. And by the way, he lost his sight at 17 and his sense of smell. So he's two of his five senses are gone, but he made not being able to see sound incredible. He was talking to me about sunsets, and I said, if I ask something in a non-PC way, I am so sorry. Just correct me, because I was going to ask him to do that before we started recording, and I was like, if I don't know how to say this in a PC way, people listening probably don't. So I'm just going to ask it in my non-PC way if it comes out that way. But I didn't, I guess, because he didn't correct me on anything. But I said, how do you see sunsets? And he said, the temperature changes. He just started explaining it to me. He had a travel agency until COVID hit. Oh. And I said, how? And he talked to me about how he travels. And he talked to me about being in the Bahamas or Jamaica and going on this like ski lift kind of a thing, which I could see it perfectly. I mean, when he talked about it, I could visualize what he experienced traveling. So it's amazing. So my gratitude list can just be that I have a place to live. I have a car that's registered and it drives, and that I'm able to drive. I have a job, I have a brain that works, I can read. It can be simple things like that, or and it's a very safe space for us. When we started, it was just simple things, but we've been doing them for so long, and it's a very safe space. And I'm grateful that for today I love my husband because that ebbs and flows. And I mean, it just depends on where I'm at in a given day, and it's always me. He's always fine. It's just me. And so I know to appreciate that when I'm in that space of, oh, I love being with him, especially as we're both working from home right now again. Yeah, and anyway, when you get to the end, you're like, oh my gosh, I have such a great life. I do mine in the morning just to set my attitude right. It just raises my vibrational frequency. Gratitude's one of those things. I'm grateful that I breathe in and out.
Yeah.
So
before I get up every morning, that's the first thing I do is I'm like, I'm grateful for this day, and today is going to be a magnificent day. And then I have a Charlie, one of my dogs. I have a Charlie, and he's literally right in my face, ready to say good morning, and he's licking my face and wanting me to love on him. So I have to wake up in a great mood because you cannot not
right
wake up in a great mood when you have a Charlie laying next to you.
Absolutely. So. That's a reason that dogs spelled backwards is God.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I find that if I wake up grumpy, if I can change it before my feet even hit the floor, just by being grateful for having Charlie beside me.
Yeah, it was Cheryl Sharillo, who I love this episode so much. My friends and I have all listened to it like 3 times. It was on the first week of January, and she talks about what she says. If for somebody who's feeling sluggish and doesn't want to get out of bed, she talks about just before you wake up and before you open your eyes, saying, I'm so grateful for this, for my body. I'm so grateful. And she talks about, just like you just did, of being grateful for before she even opens her eyes. So I've started doing that. But she talks about the moon cycles. I feel like there's things in life that everyone knew but me. Everyone. And she talks about when during the month women have the most energy and how men go 9 to 5. So they're the same every day. But women, our energy ebbs and flows, which is no surprise. Okay, but there's a way to know when it ebbs and flows, and she does the feminine Ayurveda. I'm aware of Ayurveda, but I didn't know there was a feminine Ayurveda. Okay, your face is telling me you didn't know either.
I didn't know
and
either.
It's so old. It's older than Chinese medicine. And she talks about how it was an oral tradition handed down. She's a coolest woman. I was like, wait, stop. Tell me about the feminine Ayurveda. And you could tell. And I felt like everyone knew this but me while I was talking to her.
And me.
Yeah. And I waited. I talked about this for a month, but again, I didn't put hers on until I did it first week of January. And all my friends are like, we need more of her. I mean, she is so good. Cheryl Sharillo. I actually just put her on YouTube today too. I was like, I'm putting her everywhere. She is amazing because this is the thing. She talks about how we will know for when you're scheduling your calendar. Okay, so here's when, if you look at the moon, you'll know when you'll have energy, when you should know you won't. And I was like, wait, how will we? Anyway, it was just amazing. And what foods to eat if you're pre, post, or menopausal. And it's not just that, and why your hair or your skin or nails are brittle. And she has herbs and apothecary, and she is a brilliant, well-schooled woman. It's not like, oh, and I have a lot of degrees. I'm not like, I was in awe. And she swims with wild dolphins and says that, she said, no matter how spiritual you think you are, and your listeners in particular, and you, I looked up your show. I've listened to your episodes, okay? She said, no matter how spiritual you think you are when you're with these wild dolphins, and she manifested this. Let me tell you, she did this international meditation where you call in what you're supposed to do. And for some reason, she saw her with wild dolphins. She's like, I don't even know anything about dolphins. And to this day, she does an annual swim with wild dolphins. How do you like that? Isn't that cool? She does it. It's going in June. Oh my God, she's going in June. Anyway,
that is awesome.
Yeah. She's like, no matter how you are in the water looking eye to eye with these dolphins. It's off the coast of Florida. I know. I'm like, I'm going. She's
Yeah.
amazing. See, this is why I love podcasting. I could talk about this, like, I can talk about this stuff forever. I mean, that I get to meet these women. It's not all women. I mean, at all.
You get to meet these souls that are just phenomenal.
Right.
And
I love who I
have to,
call. Yeah, I get to call all these amazing people to me.
yeah. And that have amazing stories. I mean, you've got an amazing story, and you've talked with so many amazing people. Now, what do you said that you meditate. How do you go about meditating?
I switch it up.
What are your
I actually switch it up somewhat. And right now I'm doing an accountability partner thing. I don't know what you would call it. A 4-month with someone who's a meditation teacher for years, somebody who's fairly new to it. So I would fall in the middle, I suppose. And so I'm doing that weekly, and then we meet up. We have a daily thing where we're committed to every morning. And this is the second year I'm doing that. And then we meet up and talk.
Now, do you do like a guided meditation or?
Yeah, sometimes I do. I've been doing Tara Brach a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a 21-day Tara Brach right now. So there's a little talking and then it's quiet. She just has a way that's so healing and soothing. I'll sometimes do some of those. And then I also, out here in Santa Monica, there's unplugged meditation. So I do a lot of theirs. I know there's a place.
What is unplugged meditation?
It's a place. It's an actual place. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I know. We're very lucky. There's one in West Hollywood, one in Santa Monica. So it's virtual again, but they have it. Anybody can go. There's an app. And so I'm always using unplugged meditation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's amazing.
So do you recommend for people to meditate to be able to get in touch with their inner self?
Oh my gosh, I recommend it for everything. Even if it's 5 minutes a day, who cares? 3 to 5 minutes just to sit and quiet, breathe in and out. And your head, if you're new, your head is always going to be going. Like, who cares? That doesn't matter. It all counts. That was my favorite thing I was taught, that it all counts. If you're new and your head's going the whole time, it doesn't matter.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I have a friend of mine that says, I can't stop the chatter. I can't stop the chatter. I think, and I'm like, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah. Just keep doing it.
We'd meditate in my law office in the afternoons. You feel the energy just kind of go, and like energy would be so much better. It was never required, but why not? Just do a 20-minute in the afternoon. I mean, come on. I'm like, we're busy. I'm like, there's something about it. You always get more work done if you just take that time.
I always get up early in the mornings, and that's when I do my meditation, and I write, and I try to read a little bit and just be by myself to bring in the day.
Yeah. So great.
Yeah. Well, how can people find you?
The easiest way is 52weeksofhope.com.
52weeksofhope.com.
Yep, okay. That is the easiest way. My podcasts are on there, everything I talked about today. Or if you want to, you can actually just text 52HOPE, 66866. I mean, if you're driving or something, you can just text that and then text your email. Then you can get in that way too. But 52weeksofhope.com is the easiest. Everything is on my website. All the podcasts, everything.
Well, I will make sure I add that in the show notes. And since you've listened to some of my episodes already, I'm going to ask this question. If you had an opportunity to sit with somebody, be it someone who's alive or dead, and you had an opportunity to speak with them for an hour, who would it be and what would you talk about?
I mean, to bring it to one person is so hard.
I know, but it's so much fun for me to hear who this person is and what you talk about.
I think I would actually, and it's surprising me I'm going to say this, but I think it would be my mom.
Really?
Yes, I think it would actually be my mom, and ask her if she's ever visited my kids. Because when they were really little, I'd say, "Oh, I wish you met my mom," and they're like, "We've met her before."
Yes.
And I was like, that would freak me out when they were
Yeah, I
really
just
little.
heard her.
And I was like, okay. And they would deny it now, of course, because they're teenagers. And, I have a bunch of questions for her now. I mean, she passed a long time ago, but,
He knows them.
it would be interesting.
I firmly believe that they see everything that's going on and they know everyone, and especially if she passed before they were born, then she met them before they even came into this world. So
Oh, yeah.
she knows exactly who they are.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Well, that would be an interesting conversation to sit there and talk with your mom.
Yeah, definitely.
See what she's learned on the other side.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any last bit of advice or topics that you'd like to bring up?
No, the only thing I'd say is everything always works out. It just does. Never necessarily how we planned or on our timetable, but hang in there. It really does pass. It all works out. Just hang in there. That's always my message of hope. Like it does. Even if it's just a sliver of hope, it does work out.
I love it. Thank you, Lauren, so much for joining us today on Butterfly Kisses and sharing your words of wisdom and your 52 weeks of hope with us. And hopefully one day we'll have you back on again.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you for joining me on another episode of Butterfly Kisses, a journey of spiritual transformation. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. This way you won't miss it when a new episode is released. Also, if you're interested in learning more about Akashic Record readings, you can schedule a free 15-minute consultation with me by visiting my website at amygray-cunningham.com. Again, thank you, and remember, always spread your gorgeous wings, my friend, and fly. Until next time, see ya.